This is Mike Franklin, the property tax guy, and today we're going to talk about, well, why your taxes might be as high as they are. And it's through municipal fraud. So I did a little research on on I asked Grok to provide examples of fraud by municipalities in New York State assessment matters that have been prosecuted. And here's what I come up with. In New York City, there was a corruption kickback scheme that went back 35 years. And basically, a former assessor was arranging kickbacks, and 18 assessors were prosecuted. They're the largest buildings in Manhattan and in Brooklyn. Pretty major deal. I believe it was the largest municipal fraud in the country at the time. The next one is the town of Greece over by Rochester. Kodak Park is in the town of Greece, and the assessor would inflate Kodak's assessment millions of dollars, and he had somebody on the inside of Kodak who would hire his buddy who was an appraiser. The appraiser would do the appraisal, and then they'd get the assessment reduced, and they'd share the proceeds to the tunes of millions of dollars. And they didn't just do it to Kodak; they did it to IBM, and Global Crossing, and ITT. Went on for quite a few years. The assessor and the appraiser died in jail. They got 12 years prison apiece. The Kodak guy blew them in. He got 22 months in jail. And they were able to recoup $10 million. City of Syracuse. A lot of stuff going on in City of Syracuse over the past 20 years. They haven't done a revaluation in 25 years. And things are in disarray. Got a bribery scheme in 2010, kickback scheme, racketeering. Here's a guy who was manipulating assessment for developers so that they could keep the price on parcels down until they had time to flip them. So it wouldn't eat into their equity. They were handing out star exemptions to people who were not qualified in exchange for cash. Tax foreclosure scheme. Let's see. Is this the one where they're forcing properties into foreclosure, and then he had some developers who would buy them up, inside information. And let me just go back to this first one here. Guy paid restitution, 1 year probation. You see, that's the problem. There should be a mandatory 90 days in jail. See this one. So some of them had a pretty significant jail time. One of them was 5 years. Don't want to read them while they're here. It's available for you to read. I'll place a link to it in the comments. Property tax Atari scheme, where one of the assessors was colluding with an attorney to get assessments reduced. You know, the creativity, you know. Historic district exemptions. Yeah, he's handing out historic exemptions to non-historic properties for payment. But here's my favorite one. Apparently one of the assessors was identifying a property as nonprofit, so it's not taxable in exchange for a kickback up in the university area, Syracuse University. And the kickback scheme. Now, it doesn't name whose name that is, but one of the assessors mysteriously disappeared that I've had interactions with, and I'm going to assume it's him. His name is Ed Full, and Ed Full said that I will never get his data. Apparently, he doesn't want people to see his data because they might find out that he's doing kickback schemes, you know. And but that's 11 cases in the city of Syracuse of prosecuting assessors over the past 20 years. In fact, I don't even think it goes back 20 years. It goes back to 2007. Yeah, almost 20 years, 18 years. Oh, we had one in Oswego, Buffalo. There's a bunch of Buffalo cases. Kickback scheme is the usual thing, and the reason that is that the assessor just has to click their mouse and they can make the adjustment. And who's to know, you know? And assessment challenge fraud. This is a real how-to. If you want to commit assessment fraud, just read these in detail and you'll be able to know how to do it. I hope the assessors don't see this, or they'll get ideas. Payment in lieu of taxes fraud. Who'd have thunk? Oh, I want to go back to one in Syracuse. It's pretty funny. Let's see. It would have been 2015. This one is 2022, the tax foreclosure. 2015, manipulation for developer kickbacks. It involved the Inner Harbor. And he's keeping these assessments down for a kickback. And well, I think we all know who was developing the Inner Harbor back in 2015. So I don't think it takes a rocket science to figure out who was involved in that one. Let's go. And these are just the ones that are prosecuted. How about all the ones that haven't been caught? Goes on every day all across this state. Buffalo, 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 Buffalo. Kickback scheme, Buffalo. Selective assessment, taking care of their crony pals. But the neighbors get nothing. Developer collusion. Foreclosure fraud. It's interesting that Rochester, I only found one Rochester case. Do you think there's no fraud going on in Rochester? I don't think so. One case in Rochester. Ithaca, Lockport, Watertown, Cortland, Auburn, Geneva, Southampton. Oh, there's one town, Ramapo. It's pretty popular for fraud. There you go. Yeah. Ramapo, Assessor Fraud. Brookhaven, Greenberg, Oyster Bay, West Carthage, Spring Valley, Colony. Oh, here's another Ramapo. Utica, Ossining, Yonkers, Spring Valley again, Hamptons, Mount Vernon, Albany. Only one case in Albany. Go figure. Poughkeepsie, Islip, Binghamton. Only one case in Binghamton. I tell you, what goes on in Binghamton is some of the most corrupt stuff going. In Broome County, and they only have one case. Guess they didn't have a district attorney that was interested in getting involved in that. What's kind of interesting is the ones where there aren't any cases. That's what's curious. Elmira, Southampton, A lot of words for that one. Must have been tricky. Plattsburgh, Orangetown, Babylon, Ramapo again, Huntington, North Hampstead, Smithstown, Kingston. I mean, I tell you, Glen Cove, Long Island, Nassau County. Nassau County is one of the most corrupt counties in the state, probably the most corrupt. Oneonta, I'm telling you, it covers every corner of this state. And that's what I have. So, but those are just the ones that were prosecuted. I looked into a situation where there's a property owner who happened to be a state politician. He owns like 70 parcels, and he owns about 3 miles of river frontage. And last I checked, it was all classified as abandoned agriculture. So, you know, so if you wonder why your taxes are higher than you might think they should be, it's because other people aren't paying their share, and which is called unequal. So you need to look at excessive and unequal. But anyway, this was a GROC analysis, and yeah, I sorted through a bunch of ways and copied and pasted things together. But you know, my experience is they don't want to give up their data. They evade, they delay New York State Freedom of Information Law. And when they do that, you know they got something to hide. So I encourage you to ask for that data. Just email the town clerk and ask for comparable sales report, comparable assessment report, cost valuation report, subject property inventory summary, the land tables, and the sales analysis report. And if they don't want to give it to you, it means something's up. Now, you can't request that data until May 1st, you know, for most municipalities, because that's when the tentative roll comes out, which is the final work product of the assessor. Prior to that, they don't have to give it to you, but on May 1st and after they do. So that's when you want to ask for the data for the current year. But anyway, you know, it's just so easy for them to commit fraud. They got a mouse and a keyboard, and they just click, and they do whatever they damn well please. And who's to say? Who's to know? The town supervisor doesn't know. The town board doesn't know. Who's to know? In these cases, I think in the city of Syracuse, you can read the case, and they'll tell you state controller's office. It might give you a hint as to how they caught it. Sometimes it's an audit. Sometimes, you know, it might be a whistleblower. But otherwise, you know, who's to know? But all I know is I've had a lot of interactions with the city of Syracuse, and they got serious issues of cronyism. Their board of assessment review is like 4 out of 5 have no real estate valuation experience, and the chairman has been there for 20 some years, and so he is the common denominator of all this fraud. All this fraud took place under his watch. He is the common denominator. City of Syracuse needs to remove the entire board of assessment review and start from scratch. And enough of this crony nonsense. They had one guy who was a professor of visual and performing arts up at SU. What does that have to do with real estate valuation? They got a woman who's a paralegal, great experience, but nothing to do with real estate valuation. They got an insurance agent. His brother was the city auditor. That's his only qualification. He shouldn't be on there. They got another guy on there who's new, who is a union guy and a credit union, for a credit union. I just don't know what that has to do with real estate valuation. And so, you know, they get their little club together, they have a private meeting, and they do whatever they damn well please. They are not a separate appeal from the assessor. It's a joke. And that's why when you look at this whole list, Syracuse is number 1. They've got 11 prosecutions in 17 years. That's not good. But anyway, it's widespread. I participate in these cases in 38 counties. And what you're seeing here is not an anomaly. This is Mike Franklin, the property tax guy.